Hi guys, I'm going to try this differently. So the first two videos that I made for math, my phone was up and down, okay, vertical. And once everything was, uploaded and attached, I very quickly realized that it's probably hard for you to really follow my notes because what you're viewing seems very narrow and very small. So I'm sorry for that, and I'm sure that was probably really annoying. So sorry. I am definitely trying to figure this out still. This is actually my second time trying to record this video because the first time I was talking for 16 minutes completely to myself because I wasn't even recording. So I'm really doing a good job, but we're going to keep with conversions. So I would love to feel like we're pretty comfortable with King Henry. We've been moving decimal points the whole time for school, the whole school year. And so as long as, you start and stop at the right place, I feel like we should be okay with that. What we're going to do today, we're moving on to customary conversions. And if you've heard, I call it Gallon Man. I think Mrs. Miller calls it King Gallon. That's really what we're looking at. And I don't want to be like it's going to be super simple because for some of you it will be, but for some of you it might take a while for us to look at it together. But we're going to end up counting letters. That's the easiest way that I can break it down for you. So I want to, if you have your math notebook, that's great. I would love for you to write in your math notebook. If you do not have your math notebook, a piece of paper is fine. I'm going to use two different colored pens. So I have a blue and a red. If you maybe have like a pencil and a different colored color pencil, I was trying to think, or maybe you have two different colored pens at your house, or maybe you just have one blue pen and one black pen, or whatever you're writing with. If you can't find another color, when I make certain things a different color, maybe try to trace over that thing a couple times, and you can pause the video while you do that so that it's bolder and your eyes can see it so it doesn't get lost all over your paper. So I'm going to show you my math notebook, and I think the easiest way for you to do this, like let's say, hang on, you guys. I'm sorry, I'm a mess. Let's say that, I don't want to write on this page because all my mess ups over here, but let's say you have writing here. I don't want you to start writing on this page. I would like you to flip the page so that you have two clean papers side by side, because we're going to end up drawing the Gallon Man or King Gallon on this side, and then we're going to try practice examples on this side. But if you have King Gallon or Gallon Man on one page and your examples on the other, it's a lot easier for you to go back and forth between those two things. So let's say the first two videos I had you date the page, but at this point Mrs. Nickerson and I, we have decided that we are just going to take what we have for math and extend it for 2 weeks, because we really do not want you guys overwhelmed. All the work that we have, Mrs. Nickerson's kids have the exact same thing, but she and I both agreed that if we overload you with stuff on the first week, you're going to become frustrated with us, and that is not what I want at all. Plus, you have work for Mrs. Williams, and I want to make sure that this is an easy transition, and at some point, I don't know how long we're going to be like this, hopefully not too long, but if at some point, we can pick up the workload, and that would be great, and if not, then that's okay too. So I'm going to stop dating the pages, but at this point, this would technically be lesson 3. So instead of me writing a date, I don't want to get too close. Instead of me writing a date, I'm going to write lesson 3 up top, and then I'm going to give myself a heading like we normally do. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to flip this. So here's my blank notebook. Okay, so I'm going to write on this side first. And up here at the top, where we would normally write a date, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to put lesson, so Lesson, lesson 3. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give myself a heading, oops, my notebook's slipping, that says Gallon Man. And then I'm going to put 2 words here because I don't have enough room. So I'm going to put up top a little bit, customary, conversions. So remember, if you need to pause me, if I am writing too fast for you, pause, and when you're ready, unpause, and we'll be right with each other. We'll be ready to go. I want to keep the whole heading up top because the gallon man, he takes up the entire page. So whenever you're ready, I'm going to take my pen, so maybe your pencil, and I'm going to make a large G that takes up pretty much the entire page here. That G stands for gallon, and it's a unit of measurement that typically, if I can think about a gallon, the easiest thing I can describe to you guys would be a gallon of milk. Oops, ripping out my headphones. So let me see. Let's see, gallon of milk. This is just, you know, what mom would, if mom goes to buy milk, this is what she would typically buy from the grocery store. It's like the big fat jugs of milk. So it is a unit of measurement that represents typically liquids, but it's a larger unit of measurement. Okay, so that's why in my notebook he's so big. He's a large unit of measurement. Inside of my gallon, I'm gonna fit 4 Q's. So I'll put 2 Q's up top. Knocking over my own notebook. And I'm gonna put 2 Q's on the bottom. Okay. So 2 up top, 2 on the bottom. Now these Q's stand for quarts. So in 1 gallon, or in my 1G, there are 4 quarts. So 4 quarts is equal to a gallon. So if you're thinking about what maybe a quart would look like, let's see, quart, a quart of milk. That's what comes up for my Google search. So let's see here. These look, oops, nope, not me. These are like the skinnier bottles of milk. So the ones that still have, where's my little cursor, a handle, but like the skinnier version of the milk bottles that mom could buy at the store. That's what those look like. These are quarts of milk. So still a unit of measurement to measure liquids, but they're smaller than a gallon. So they're showing that 4 of these, okay, 4 of these milk jugs, these quart milk jugs, would be equal to 1 of these large milk jugs. That's what they're saying. Oh, guys. Apparently I want you to stare at me more than anything else. So 4 quarts are in a gallon. 4 little jugs of milk make up 1 large gallon of milk. So the G is my gallon, the Q's are my quarts, and inside of every Q, I want you to take the same thing you're writing with and put 2 P's, which tells me that in every quart, there are 2 pints. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make 2 P's. Oops. And I'm going to make 2 P's in every single one of my Q's. Okay? In every quart, there are 2 pints. Remember, if I'm writing too fast, pause me, okay? And then when we're ready, we'll go from there. So I'm going to Google really quickly, pint. This is a pint of milk. So let's see what this looks like. Okay, so a pint of milk, if we're just thinking about milk, it's like the skinny ones, not these. It looks like a quart to me. So let's see. Let's try maybe a pints of ice cream. Okay, this might be helpful for us. A pint of ice cream, so the little ones, okay? So still a unit of measurement that's measuring how much fits inside of something, but it's the smaller version of ice creams, like the little, not the itty bitty ones, the individual ones, but these are like the ones that you don't want to share, okay, but mom's probably making you share with your sibling. Those, the pints of ice cream. So in every gallon, there are 4 quarts, and in every quart, there are 2 pints. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to end up counting letters. So in one whole gallon, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 P's. But that means in every gallon there are 8 pints, because that's what that P stands for. So in every pint, I want you to make 2 C's, cups. Okay, so I've just put 2 C's in every P. And that's just telling me that in every pint, there are 2 cups. So if you think about this, if I just focus on the 1 Q, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 cups in every quart, because that's how many C's fit inside 1 Q. So if we're thinking about this whole gallon, and we want to know how many cups are in one whole gallon, then we're just going to count the C's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. All we're going to end up doing, you guys, is just counting letters. So the last piece of this is ounces. And there are 8 ounces in every cup, but we can't fit 8 O's to count them out. So ounces are a little bit harder because, yes, we'll be counting, but we're also going to have to either add the 8s or multiply the 8s in order to be able to get an answer. So if you think about a cup would be like a measuring cup. Let's see, cup of water. Okay. So it just, well, it's not really helpful because it's just showing me glasses of water. But cup of water, let's say, measurement. Like, okay, a cup, like a measuring cup full to where it says 1 cup. That's what they're talking about. So it might seem like it is a lot of liquid, but you know, it is a good amount of liquid, but when you're talking about a gallon or 4 quarts or 8 pints, I mean, a cup it's very tiny in comparison to everything else that we've already said. So here's where I'm going to use a different color. I'm going to pick up my red pen, and if you don't have another color, maybe you don't have color pencils or a crayon or a marker to show a different color, then I want you to go over what I'm going to do with a different color. Just go over it a couple of times so that you can see it. So there are 8 ounces in every cup, but we don't have a lot of room here. So instead of making 8 O's, I'm just going to draw a red 8. But this stands for 8 ounces. This says 8 ounces. This says 8 ounces. This is 8 ounces. It's not just 1 ounce, it's 8. So if we just focus, pretend this is all covered up for right now. If we just focus on this 1 quart, in 1 quart, I see 2 P's, 2 pints. In this 1 quart, I see 1, 2, 3, 4 C's or 4 cups. And then in 1 quart, I do see 4 8s, but that's not just 4 ounces. It's 8 4 times. So 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, or 8 times 4. So this would be 8, plus 8 more would be 16, plus 8 more would be 24, plus 8 more would be 32, because 8 times 4 is 32. So these don't just represent 1, these are 8. So in 1 quart, there are 32 ounces. So in the rest of my gallon, every time there's a C, I'm going to take my red pen and I'm going to put 8 there. And if I've just confused you talking about numbers and counting up the numbers, don't worry. We're going to practice for sure. I'm going to zoom out a little bit because I want you to see this is what my gallon man looks like. Okay? He's done. This is it. This is him. This is what we need. I wanted you to be side by side so that we can do examples. And when we do the examples, it's easier if you can just look right at everything here. Remember, if I am writing too fast, then pause me. And when you are ready, you unpause me. Okay? So over here, I'm going to put gallon man examples, because that lets me know that these two pages are supposed to go together. So I'm going to show you something. The easiest way I can describe this to you, let's just say 3 quarts equals some amount of pints. Now, yesterday the last 2 days really, when we were figuring out King Henry, I kept saying you have to start on the side where you're given the number and the unit of measurement, like the number and the words. And the same goes for this. So if this is our first example, you guys, we can't start looking at pints because that's where we have a piece of missing information. We can't start there if we don't know this part. That's what we're trying to figure out. So we're going to start with 3 quarts. But the easiest way that I can make you see this is let's just focus on the first letter of each word. This is what we know. We know we're going to have to count through 3 Q's because the Q's stand for quarts. We're trying to figure out the pints. So when we find our 3 quarts, we're going to be counting how many P's do we see in 3 quarts or 3 Q's. So if this is my gallon man, this is 1 quart or 1 Q, 2 quarts or 2 Q's, 3 quarts or 3 Q's. Because they only want to know about 3 quarts, you guys, when I look over here, I'm not going to worry about this one. Because right here, this is my 3 quarts. There are 3 Q's open here. So I'm not even going to focus on the one where my hand is covering. When I count through these 3 Q's, I have to make sure I'm counting the P's, the pints. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So in these 3 Q's, there are 6 P's that I can count. But you guys, that right there tells me that in 3 quarts, there are 6 pints. That is the answer. And I don't want to, you guys know how I have my fat finger typos. I just had a whole fat finger cover up the whole thing. But I don't want to say that it's that easy because for some of you, you're probably like, I know, I get it. But there might be some of you that still are like, I don't really get it. We're going to work through, I don't know, maybe like 2, 3 more together. And then I'm going to give you some to try. There is no envision lesson for you to go and try today. In fact, I can't remember what I did for today. There are exit ticket questions for you to answer. So I can see, how you're doing. But there's no envision lesson for you to go and try on your own. So all we're going to do today, all we're doing right now, we're just practicing. That's it. So I'm going to turn this back to my notebook. I'm going to say that this is number 2. I'll skip a line, okay, so it doesn't all get jumbled together. And let's say some amount of cups, okay, is equal to 5 pints. It doesn't matter that the blank is in the front. I still have to start with the information where I have both the number and the pints. So if this is the example that we're given, I'm not going to start with cups. And I'm not going to start with cups because this is my blank. This is my missing piece of information. So I can't start with something that I don't know. I have to start with the pints. But all I want you to do is I want you to just focus on the first letter of each word. So because I know the 5 pints, that means I'm going to come over to my gallon man and I'm going to count out 5 P's. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That means when I go to count through, I am not going to count through this one, and I am not going to count through these 2. Because if I cover these up, there are 4 P's that we can see up top, and then there's the other P on the bottom. But that gives me the 5 P's that I need. And I only need 5 P's because it's asking me about 5 pints. So number 2 here is asking me how many cups are equal to 5 pints. But because cup starts with C, I'm going to count how many C's I see as I count through these 5 P's, these 5 pints. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I'm only counting the C's. I'm not counting those 8s, I'm counting the C's. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are covered because I didn't need them. This would be 9, and this would be 10. So in those 5 P's, there are 10 C's. But you guys, that tells me that in 5 pints, there are 10 cups. Let's say we do one more together, okay, before I ask you just to try some on your own. Let's say if there are 3 cups, or that's fine. Okay, 3 cups is equal to some amount of ounces. Now, ounces are harder because ounces are not, they're my 8s, okay? That's why we put them in a different color so that we could see them. They are my 8s. So when you're looking at number 3, if you're trying to decide between cups and ounces where you should start, we are not starting at ounces. And we cannot start at ounces because that's where my blank is. That's what we're trying to figure out. Now, we're going to count through 3 cups or 3 C's because cup starts with C. So if you find 3 C's, this is 1 C, sorry. Let it focus, there we go. This is 2, this is 3. So I'm not even going to look at this one right here. I'm just going to look at these 3 right here, 3 cups. They want to know how many ounces is equal to 3 cups. So I have 8 plus 8 plus 8, because remember, we can't just say that that's 3. It's not 3. There's not 3 ounces equal to 3 cups. It's 8 3 times. So you can either do 8 plus 8 plus 8, or you can do 8 times 3. But either way, it's going to get you the same answer, because 8 plus 8 is 16, and 16 plus 8 more would be 24. And 8 times 3 is 24. So if they're asking you how many ounces are equal to 3 cups, it's 24. 24 ounces. Let's do one more together, okay? Let's say let's try it. Let's say if it's 2 gallons, equals some amount of pints. Now, this 1G is 1 gallon. So if they want 2 gallons, that means I'm going to have to go through this G 2 times. And I'll show you what I mean. So if this is number 4, you guys, I obviously can't start with pints because this is where my blank is. So that's the piece of information that I do not know. I'm going to start with 2 gallons. But the whole G is 1 whole gallon. So if it wants me to do 2 gallons, I'm going to go through it once, and then I'm going to go through it twice. So if they want me to know, because G is my gallon, so that's my whole G. If they want me to know about pints, my pints are my P's. So when I go through this, I'm going to be counting the P's because that's what I need to get an answer for. So if I go through 1 whole gallon, that is 1 P, 2 P's, 3 P's, 4 P's, 5, 6, 7, 8. But that's just 1 gallon. I've only gone through it 1 time. So if this is 8, this would be 9. This would be 10. This is 11, 12. This is 13, 14. This is 15 and 16. I want to show you that one more time. I know there's a handful of you that you're probably thinking I'm going too slow. Some of you honestly might be thinking I'm going too fast, but they're allowed to ask us about multiple gallons. But if you can figure out how to draw the gallon man, which we have in our notebooks now, all we're doing is we're going to go through it as many times as for as many gallons as it's asking us for. So if this is asking us for 2 gallons, I'm counting through this 1 full time, 2 full times. So it's asking me for pints, and my pints are my P's. So to go through this 1 full time, I'm going to count all the P's 1 full time. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 1 gallon and it wants 2. So this was 8. Again, this is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So how many pints are equal to 2 gallons? 16 pints. It gets confusing as you go through multiples, okay? But guys, we can do this. We're counting. That's all we're going to do. That's all we're going to do is count. So I'm going to give you one, and I'm going to get you started, and then I'm going to ask you to pause and try it, and when you have an answer, unpause it and check for yourself. So let's say that this is number 5. Let's do some amount of cups is equal to 7 pints. Okay, we obviously aren't going to start with the cups because we have the missing piece here. So we're going to look for 7 P's. And I know I'm looking for 7 P's because my number is 7 and pint starts with P. But because they want cups, I'm going to find out how many C's are in 7 P's. So let's find 7 P's. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, which means for this example, I'm not going to use him. So there are 4 P's up here and 3 more on the bottom because 4 plus 3 gives me the 7 P's that I want. Now they're asking me for cups, how many cups? So as I go through these 7 P's, I'm going to be counting the cups. He's gone because this gives me 7 P's right here. But in every P, there's 2 C's. So this is 1 cup, 2 cups, 3 cups, 4 cups, 5 cups, 6 cups, 7 cups, 8 cups, 9 cups, 10 cups, 11 cups, 12 cups. He's gone. So this is 13 and 14. So in 7 pints, there are 14 cups. Let's ask you to try number 6. Let's say in 5 quarts, how many cups are there? In 5 quarts, how many cups would there be? Remember, in 1 gallon, there are 4 Q's, okay? And I know I'm looking for Q's because I can't start with cups. That's where my blank is. But quarts starts with Q, okay? So if I'm looking at 5 quarts, this is 1, 2, 3, and 4, but they want 5, which means you guys are going to go through all 4 of these quarts, and then you're going to go through 1 more quart. So you'll count this quart, this quart, this quart, this quart, because that gives you 4. But then you're going to go back and count this quart again, because that would give you your 5th quart. Now they want to know how many, or I want to know how many cups are in 5 quarts. So as you go through these 5 quarts, you should be counting how many C's there are. I want you to try to figure out for me how many cups are in 5 quarts. And when you're ready, I want you to unpause me and give me an answer. How many cups are in 5 quarts? Sorry, you guys, I'm shaky. Okay, so 5 quarts, I'm going to count through to get an answer so you can check for yourself. And I'm counting the C's in 5 quarts because I'm counting cups. So I'll count through this quart, this quart, this quart, this quart, and this quart again because that'll give me my 5 quarts. So I'm counting the C's, I'm counting cups. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, but I got to go through this one again. So if this one was 16, this would be 17, 18, 19, and 20. That tells me that in 5 quarts, there are 20 cups. And if you didn't get it right, it's fine. We're practicing. And that one's hard because you got to go through the whole gallon and then just one of those quarts again. So I know it's hard. But all I really want us to do is just practice. So that was number 6. Let's say we'll go through 10. So let's do 4 4 more to get through 10. So that we just have some practice. And remember, I'm not asking you to do an Envision lesson today. So this video is probably going to be a little bit longer, but it's just going to be good practice because we are going to do more in the next video, and then you guys have an Envision lesson to do with that. So here's 7, okay? And I'm going to do it the same way. I'll try to get you started, but I would like for you to pause me to try it on your own and then unpause me to check your answer. So let's say for number 7, let's say how many pints are equal to 6 quarts. So I'm obviously not starting with pints because that's my blank. I'm going to start with the quarts, but remember, we're just looking at that first letter. If I'm starting with the quarts, that means I'm going to count through 6 Q's. So if you look at your gallon man, 1 Q, 2 Q's, 3 Q's, 4 Q's. So you're going to have to count through these 4, but then you're going to have to count through these 2 again, because this would be 1 Q, 2 Q's, 3 Q's, 4 Q's. Then this would be 5 Q's and 6 Q's. So count through all 4 and then count through these 2 again, because you got to count through 6 Q's 6 times. I want you to try to figure out how many pints or how many P's are in 6 Q's, 6 quarts. When you're ready, unpause me and I want you to check yourself. Hopefully you've had time. Hopefully you paused me. If you counted through 6 quarts, we're looking for how many pints. So this is 1 pint, 2 pints, 3 pints, 4 pints, 5 pints, 6 pints, 7 pints, 8 pints. But remember, we had to count through these 2 again because we had to get to 6 quarts. So if this is 8 pints, this is 9 pints, 10 pints, 11 pints, 12 pints. So there are 12 pints in 6 quarts. Let's do 8, and then we'll do 9 and 10, and then I think we'll call it a day for the video. So let's say for 8, let's try an ounces one, because those are always a little bit harder. Let's say in 3 pints, my notebook's falling off. Here we go. In 3 pints, how many ounces would that be? And remember, our ounces are our eighths. So we're not just counting how many eighths you see. You've got to count and then either add those eighths together that many times or multiply by 8. So we can't start at ounces. That's my blank. I'm going to start at pints. But remember, we're looking at letters here. So I'm just looking for 3 P's. I want to see how many ounces are in 3 P's. So guys, if this is my gallon man, this is 1 P here, 2 P's, and 3 P's. So I'm not going to count this guy because I have 3 P's right here. Sorry. But I want to know how many ounces. And my eighths are my ounces. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. He's covered. So this would be 5 and this would be 6. But it's not just 6 ounces. Okay? It's 6 8 times. Or that's wrong. It's 8 6 times. That makes sense. Okay? Because there are 6 eighths there. So in 3 pints, I see 8 6 times. So see if you can pause me and see if you can figure out for me how many ounces would be in 3 pints. If we look through the 3 pints and we see 8 6 times, that means we're either going to do 8 times 6, okay, 8 6 times to figure out how many ounces would be there. Or if you feel like you're still not really comfortable with those multiplication facts, do 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8. That will get 6 times. So if this is what I have, even if you're not multiplying, if you say 8 plus 8 is 16, 16 plus 8 is 24, 24 plus 8 is 32, 32 plus 8 is 40, and this one was covered, remember, because this is my third P, this is my last one. 40 plus 8 more should get me right to 48. and 8 times 6 is 48. So that tells me right there that in 3 pints, there are 48 ounces. Let's see, can we figure out, maybe we'll make that one number 10. Let's say for number 9, I'm mentally thinking, so sorry if you're wondering what I'm mumbling about. I'm trying to think and work at the same time. You guys know how I get. So let's say for number 9, you guys, let's say we do, let's say, why not? Let's say how many cups are in 9 pints? So remember, we're not going to start at the cups because that's where my blank is. That's the piece of information that I'm missing. I'm going to start with pints, but it's P's. Trying to get my red pen. There we go. It's P's, so I'm going to count through 9 P's. And I want to figure out how many C's there are because cup starts with C. So this is 1P, 2P, 3 P's, 4 P's, 5 P's, 6 P's, 7 P's, 8 P's, but I want 9 P's. So I'll go through all 8 of these P's, and then I'm going to go to this guy again. I'm going to hit him up one more time. He's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm not going to count through this one. I'm not going to do everything up at the top. I'm just going to look at him one more time because these P's are 8 and this guy right here, if I go to him one more time, trying to cover him up, he's 9. So I'm counting cups. See if you can figure out for me how many cups are in 9 pints. If you tried it, 9 pints means you're going to count through all of the P's because that gets me 8, and then you're going to go to him one more time. But I want cups, so I'm going to count the C's. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. But remember, we're going to him one more time. So if this was 16, this guy would be 17 and 18. So that tells me that in 9 pints, there are 18 cups. The last one that I want to try right now is another ounces. So let's say for 10, we're going to say how many ounces, because ounces I think are harder because you got to either add them together or multiply, so it's just an extra step. So let's say how many ounces are in, let's say in 3 quarts. Okay, obviously I can't start with the ounces because that's what I'm missing, so I'm going to start with my 3 quarts. But remember, quarts starts with Q. So I'm going to look through 3 Q's and I want to figure out how many ounces there are. So I'm going to count through this Q, and this Q. I'm not using him because these are my 3. But you guys, I'm counting ounces. Okay? So I'm looking at the 8s. Remember, you can't just count the 8s. You got to count them and then add 8 together that many times or multiply by 8 that many times. So see if you can figure out for me how many ounces are in 3 quarts. In 3 quarts, I see, because remember my 8s are my ounces, so I see an 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is my 3rd quart. So this would be, if that was 8, this is 9, 10, 11, and 12. That means I'm looking at 8, 12 times. So you can either do 8 plus 8 plus 8 all the way to get 8, 12 times, or you guys, we can just do 12 times 8. Okay, well, 8 times 2, this is a multiplication. My hand's getting not so looking so good right now. 8 times 2, you guys, is 16. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 1 more is 9. So I saw 8 12 times, and 12 times 8 is 96, which tells me that in 3 quarts, there are 96 ounces. Now, I've said, I think twice now, there is no Envision lesson for you today. This video, I think, is probably longer than the other ones, but I really just wanted us to get comfortable because the next part of what we are expected to be able to do is look at halves. So instead of just saying like 3 quarts, they could say 3.5 quarts. How many would be 3.5 quarts? So before we even jumped into that whole world right there, I wanted to make sure that we're comfortable using these whole numbers. If you feel like you watched this and you were getting them right when I asked you to try them on your own, or you found another strategy of multiplication that probably worked a lot faster than my counting and you knew that and you were good to go, you're probably set, and you probably will be okay and set tomorrow for looking at the next video, when we do halves. But if you felt like the ones I asked you to try, you didn't get every single one of them right, or even it took you a while and you struggled, but you did get the right answer, I'm not saying you have to, but if you feel like it would benefit you, you might just want to re-watch the video again, because there is no other thing for you to do. I am going to ask you when this video is over, the next part of what I would like for you to do is do exit ticket questions for me. And I would like for you to try them, and by all means, please use the gallon man that you've drawn in your notebook. When you do the exit ticket questions, it's going to make it easier for you to look at. You need this. You're going to have it. But if you feel like before you touch those exit ticket questions, if you just need some more practice, maybe rewatch the video and let that help you. Okay? But I feel like if you use this, you should be fine.